Hey everybody, just a quick video to let everybody know what's going on in the current snake environment out here at Canyon Vistas and Superstition Views. The last one I put up was I did a video of a gopher snake that was found over by the office. We left that there and because that's a good snake. It's non-venomous. It's out there killing mice and rabbits and things like that. But today we have probably the largest rattlesnake I've ever caught, maybe or at least equal to the largest one I've ever caught. It's about 4 feet long. I'm not sure if you know Dan and Sandy Woolenweber, but they live over on the desert side over in Canyon Vistas, and it was on near their desert area. So I went out and I wrangled it up, and we're going to release it out here into the woods, and or I should say into the brush, where there's lots of other field mice and things like that. It's away from Canyon Vistas and Superstition Views, so it should not be making its way back, but there should be plenty of food here for it to survive.
Yeah, you big dog. That's a big one right there.
Oh yeah. You can put it inside. He won't pop out.
He won't?
No.
Okay. Got him.
Hey, give me
Good job, Phil.
Hey, so this is what we're talking about here in Canyon Vistas Superstition Views. Always look around when you're outside, because these snakes are out here. Now, again, you could probably live here for years and never see one, but you've got to keep your eyes open just to be careful.
There you go.
Okay, so this environment right here is a snake's paradise. There's all sorts of field mice and pack rats and stuff inside here. There's a lot of good coverage. So we're gonna release him in here, and he should be a happy camper here in just a minute. So he's rattling there, he's not real happy, but we're gonna get him out of here. You see him in there. He is a big snake. He's about 4, maybe even 4.5 feet long. Let's see if we can get him out of here. Heavy too, very heavy. Let's see if we can get him in there. Kind of hit the dirt a little bit, the ground. He'll feel the vibration, and he knows that I'm here, so he's heading off. So that was probably the biggest rattlesnake I have wrangled up since I was certified almost 3 years ago. If it's not the biggest, it's tied for the biggest. It was probably just over 4 feet long, somewhere between 4 and 4.5 feet long. And if you remember from the last video we did about snakes, the average adult length of a rattlesnake in Arizona, fully grown, is between 4 and 5 feet. So this one's basically fully grown, may have a little bit more to go. But it was a big snake, and we got it over, if you guys know, Dan and Sandy Woolenweber, who live over on the desert side, they gave us a call over here in Canyon Vistas, and we went and scooped them up and released them safely, unharmed, back into the desert, probably in an area that's much more fruitful for rats and mice than actually Canyon Vistas are, so he'll probably be happier there. But a couple of things I wanted to show you a little bit about some of the tools I use when I go out and I do this. Okay, so the obvious thing I've got a container. It's really similar to like you'd get at a Home Depot container, but it's a container to put the snakes in. There are holes here in the top to get air into it, so it's not airtight. And usually if I get a snake, it's not in the bucket any more than 10 minutes, usually maybe 15 at the most. I usually get the snake, put him in the bucket, secure the lid on here, and then I come back home. I tell Karen that I'm safe and I haven't been bit or anything like that. And then I head on out to a location where I think it's snake friendly. You know, I think there's a lot of pack rats and mice in there. This is what it looks like, at least. So that's where I release the snakes at unharmed. But it just screws on. Sometimes it's a little difficult to get it screwed on, but it's screwed on right now. And that's the bottom of it. It's a little rock or a stone down there. That's all that is, just some leaves. But there's no blood or anything like that. There's no venom, you know, floating around the bottom. He's not striking at the walls or anything like that. Then the next thing I have is I've got my gloves to just in case, you know, by off chance the snake were to strike at, hit my hands or my wrists. These are actually welding gloves, and they're leather. It should not penetrate via snake fang. Snake fang should not be able to penetrate this, but it is not advertised as that. Some extra padding here and so forth, but it should be okay. Next thing I have is actually I've got my snake tongs. Sometimes people call them snake grabbers. And this one is about 5 feet long. ground to bottom, about 5 feet long. And coming up on a future video, we'll talk about is how far a snake can strike from its body. We'll get a little bit more detail about that, but for this video here right now, the average distance a snake can strike in its body is 1/3 to 1/2 its body length. So that snake, let's say the snake I just released was 5 feet long. I think it was a little bit less than 5, but let's say it was 5 feet long. Although this is 5 feet, so maybe it was 5 feet. But anyways, whether it's 5 feet or not, the most it's probably going to strike is only about 2.5 to 3 feet in length, 2.5 to 3 feet. So if this is 5 feet long, it's only going to strike, it is furthest it could strike is about that far. And then I've got all this to go. And then I've got these gloves for even more length. So the chances of a snake biting me are pretty rare, pretty slim, but I've got them just in case. All right, finally, the last thing I have are which I'm kind of proud of, my $200 anti-snake boot. These are advertised to make sure that that snakes cannot bite through these. And in fact, if you ever go to some of they call them snake rodeos or snake roundups in Texas and Oklahoma, where a guy's walking through a pit of like 50 rattlesnakes, they are usually wearing boots like this. So these are pretty confident also. And for me, I've got to be careful because it's not just capturing the snake and then releasing it, but I'm going to release it in an area which I think, based on my research and studies, is probably very beneficial, very happy for the snake. There's a lot of good food source, mice, rats, things like that. So when I'm releasing the snake, I have to be cognizant not just of the snake in the bucket like the one today, but the immediate area. It has happened. There are YouTube videos out there where someone was releasing a snake, and didn't realize there was already another rattlesnake there, and as it was releasing the snake, got bit by a second rattlesnake. So again, from beginning to end, I've always got to be looking around, and I can't concentrate just on the snake I've got in the bucket. I've got to concentrate on potentially other snakes in the area. So again, these videos aren't, I promise you, they're not meant to scare people or anything like that. They're meant to inform people and educate people. The chances of you finding a snake living here for years are very, very slim. The entire time that I've lived here in Canyon Vistas, which has been off and on about 3.5 years, I think I've only myself discovered about 3 or 4 snakes, and I'm actually looking for them. I mean, the other day I did that one about the gopher snake, and we were heading off to the swimming pool, and I just happened to look under the pickup truck, and there was a gopher snake there. I mean, how many people are looking under pickup trucks as you're scooting along in your golf cart at 15 miles an hour heading to the pool? Probably nobody but me, but I looked when I saw one. So the chances of anybody finding a snake out here are really, really slim, really small in chances of encountering a deadly snake. But again, I put these up because you have to be cognizant. You have to be aware. If you're just aloof and not paying attention, whether it's daytime like it is today or nighttime walking your dog, and you're not paying attention, there is a chance that you might come across one of these animals, and they are deadly. So just keep your eyes open, keep your wits about you, and try to look into dark, hidden corner places, things like that, where a snake might be, because it could do you a lot of benefit and later on. I mean, it might actually save your life. The answer is false. You cannot tell the age of a diamondback rattlesnake, or for that matter, any rattlesnake, by counting the individual rattles, or what are technically called buttons, on the end of the rattlesnake's tail. All rattlesnakes have buttons or rattles. Female rattlesnakes give birth to their young live. They do not lay eggs. And upon birth, every single rattlesnake has a single button or rattle at the end of its tail. Throughout the course of a single year, a rattlesnake may shed its skin several different times depending upon environmental factors and how much food is available. However, upon the completion of each shedding of its skin, the snake will attain a new button or a new rattle. So if the snake sheds its skin several times a year, it may increase the length of its rattle by 2 or 3 individual buttons. Rattlesnakes themselves can live as long as 20 years, again depending upon environmental conditions. However, the likelihood of you finding a rattlesnake with as many as 20 individual buttons is very slim. Oftentimes they break off, they're chipped off, or they're broken off by a wide variety of factors, including entanglements between snakes and their predator, the roadrunner, and other creatures which may want to harm the rattlesnake. Thanks for watching these videos, and remember, at Blue Line RV Adventures, we got your 6.